Hey guys, this is Lindsey and Ashley with Sisters Unfiltered. We are on episode 5.
I can't believe it. 5 episodes.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. I don't know. It's kind of gone fast.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, maybe not for people listening, because I do feel like we've kind of made people wait a little bit just to keep the suspense and the excitement. But anyways, so today we're talking about
Unpopular opinion. So we thought we would just share some unpopular opinions that we had maybe like growing up, that we do now as family. Some things we do alike, some things we don't. But I was reading about unpopular opinions, and it says that unpopular opinions are not right or wrong.
Yeah.
They're just like a preference. It is, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
If you don't do the same as us, that's okay. Or if you do it different, no big deal. These are just some things that have evolved. Mm-hmm. Some of them have a reason why, some of them don't.
Yep.
I don't know. We just thought it'd be fun to do them.
Yeah, it is fun. It's so funny. It's actually really fun to hear people's unpopular opinions, I think.
Yeah.
As long as you don't, because we kind of live in a society that can get offended easily.
Yeah.
And so you can't get offended. Like, you gotta have your unpopular opinion, be confident in it, and move on.
Yeah. Maybe an unpopular opinion should just make you think for a second. And just
That's true. Yeah. And some things we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I like that. Like, that's cool. Or that empowers me to do, that same thing or maybe something different. So I think it's really cool, because I think it's good for a family and healthy for a family to have some unpopular opinions, because I think that if you don't have any unpopular opinions and you don't do anything that's like unique to your family, or you're never going against the grain or going like outside of the norm, it's not teaching your kids that, hey, this is what our family thinks, and that's okay if another family doesn't think that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's good.
You don't have to follow every single popular opinion that is, because I think you have to have something that's about your family and the reasons why you do certain things, whether they're fun and silly or a little bit more serious. And it's okay, but we're not gonna judge other families that do it differently. It's just something that we've come to as a family to do. And so Lindsey and I thought this would be fun, because some of them are from growing up, some of them are now, and I feel like we should just jump in and start with one of the biggest ones.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, one of our biggest ones that is definitely an unpopular opinion and has been for years. What is your thoughts on sleepovers?
Okay, so I do think this is a huge one. I think when we have discussed, because our families see the same on this, there are some, did you already say this, there's some things that we might not see the same on or do the same, whatever. This is something that we do the same on. And so we don't do sleepovers at all. We do let people come to our house and sleep. People, aka kids. Sleep over at our house, but we don't do sleepovers where our kids go out. And so we never have, which I will say, if you want to adopt this method, you absolutely can adopt it at any age. I recommend it. I think it's actually a very good, it's not a method, but it's a good unpopular opinion to adopt. But if you start early, it's better.
A little bit easier.
It's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier.
Yeah, my husband and I just really felt like from the jump that we didn't want to do sleepovers. Now our parents, Lindsey and I's parents, we were allowed to do sleepovers. So this was something that changed when my husband and I got married and we started having kids. And Jeremy was just I always did not make good choices at sleepovers. Not every sleepover, obviously.
Yeah.
But did make good choices. I just think that, my mom used to say nothing good happens after midnight. And even though she let us do sleepovers, but she wasn't wrong. And we just, I also think people are oh, do you not let your kids do that because you think something's bad is going to happen to them or they're going to do something bad?
Yeah.
I don't. There are a couple of reasons why. But one is that there were times where I just don't want my kids to be exposed to maybe a scary movie that I don't agree with at a sleepover or whatever, all the way to, there are some bad things that can happen
for sure
at sleepovers. So,
and something you might not know about our family, if you don't know us, is we did not come from a fearful or worrying mom and dad. They were full of wisdom and the Holy Spirit. And I feel like Ashley and I, so when you hear us talk about maybe decisions that we've made that might be unique to our family, 9 times out of 10, it's not out of fear.
No,
It's out of something we feel like the Holy Spirit has led us to do for our family. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's not a fearful thing.
Yeah.
It's a wisdom thing. It's a, just what we feel like is our conviction as parents of kids.
Yeah.
And so, so none of those decisions were made out of fear. It was just more like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We didn't, so for us too, we didn't want to vet every family and be like, oh, you could sleep over their house, but you can't sleep over their house. And honestly, we were just like, you know what? We're just going to do a blanket thing. No sleepovers. And it's hard. It wasn't always easy. You have some kids that want to do sleepovers more than others.
Yeah.
You have to tell your friends that you love and trust, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my kid's not allowed to sleep over at your house. I'm sorry, we just don't do sleepovers. And that's a hard text to send or a phone call or a conversation sometimes because it isn't meant to be like offensive. It's just like, well, no, they don't sleep over anywhere. And so you do have to navigate it. And Lindsey she has said before that the hardest part is those first few times.
It is.
That you have to say no.
It's like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And the thing is like where it gets sticky is, okay, cool. Like you don't, kids invited to a sleepover, just a single, like one kid wants to have one of my kids over.
Yeah.
That's not actually as hard to say no to, because surely at that point you are already, if you believe in this or like this idea, we were already preparing our kids. We're not doing sleepovers.
Oh, right. They knew about it.
Yeah. The hard part is when they get invited to a spend the night birthday party.
Yeah, that is hard. So
And
what do you do in that situation?
Yeah. So like what we have done is, and I'm assuming you guys have done the same thing. I probably learned it from you, is we just prepare them. Hey, you can go to this party, but we're going to pick you up late.
Yeah.
So depending on the age, depends on what time we're willing to pick up. I'm honestly, selfishly, just not willing to pick them up at midnight because I'm too tired.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it goes. The funny thing is like the older your kids get, and if they already know this concept, I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but like your kids start not wanting to sleep over.
Yeah, some of my kids
had
for sure.
that.
Others,
Yeah.
it lasts
Not
a
so
little
much.
bit longer.
Yeah. I've had some of my kids be like, I didn't really want to sleep over. Anyways, now, but the hardest part is those first few times that you say, hey, you're not sleeping over when you pick them up.
Yeah.
It is, especially if something fun is going on.
Oh, my kids have had their friends text me. They have had their friends' parents text me begging for them to sleep over.
Yeah. They have a bad attitude.
Yeah.
They could be like irritated. And that's when you just kind of say, hey, this is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And we are not doing it. And that's not going to change. But if your attitude doesn't change,
you're
not going to go. You might not go to the next thing you get invited to.
I will say too, though, like my kids are older now, so all 4 of them are 17 and older, the 4 boys. And they really do say now, I'm so glad that you had that rule.
Yeah.
And it doesn't keep them from everything. It's not like an end all to all things, like how they could get in trouble or something bad happens. But I do just think it's just a really good boundary that we've had and that they appreciate that we had. And I really don't feel bad about having it. Like there's some things that I think as parents, like one you change on, but there's some things you are like, you know what, I probably should have done that different. And this is just one that, I don't know, I'm kind of glad that we had it. Yeah.
And then also there are some exceptions in the sense that I've let Micah go on a camping trip with some good friends of ours. Very, very few exceptions, but we will let them do church camp, like stuff like that. We do. That's a little different. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's just been across the board. We're not doing it. We're not doing it for, these people and not those people. That's not how it works. It's just easier for me to say no.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like you get into the world of sleepovers, and if you're not there yet, take this as like a hint or a tip. There's a lot of kid swapping going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as much when people have big families.
That's true.
Because I don't think they want to swap with people who have 5 kids.
Yeah.
But it does happen with people who have smaller families. I've seen it. And honestly, if that's your jam, that's your jam. It's just not mine. I don't want to do like a tit for tat. Oh, you had my kids this weekend and I'm going to have your kids next weekend. Yeah. Like, I just don't want to do that. We do allow, obviously, cousin sleepovers. Yeah. And I will say that it's been something that's been great living so close to cousins. And I know that not everyone has that option, but it's just something that I don't feel bad about either. Yeah. And I think it's good, and I think it's been good for our kids, and they've kind of like just come to the conclusion that's what it is. Now, my girls are not in high school yet. I do think that is something that girls probably want to do more often.
Yeah.
And their friends can come here, and it actually makes that a good environment for their friends. The other thing that is hard is explaining to a parent that their kid can come here, but your kid cannot go there.
Yeah, it is.
Without
It's just awkward.
it can feel like offensive, and I don't want it to feel that way. And so, what I've experienced, I don't know about you, but I don't love even sleepovers like at my home, like period. Honestly, it's just like the kids stay up all night or whatever,
They're
right?
in a bad mood.
They're in a bad
attitude the
mood.
next
That's
day.
right.
And you probably don't sleep good.
I don't sleep good. Yeah. And so the cool thing is like for our family is like I didn't start even sleepovers where kids slept over here in middle school.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, very few times have we done that. And so the kids sleeping here didn't start until my boys were in high school. And so then you're not having conversations with people's parents.
Yeah.
None of those parents seem to care that their
Yeah.
kids can come here and like our kids cannot go there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
So-
that is for sure an unpopular
Oh, it
opinion,
is.
and it is something that I highly encourage.
Yeah. So
But
that's a
You do you. You
yeah,
do you.
Yeah. So that's one. The other one is just a fun one that my family did, our family did forever, and we seriously don't even know the origin story of it. But what do we? And this is like all 22 of us in our family. What do we eat with popcorn?
We love da, 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 Skittles with popcorn.
Yes.
And that is
So fun.
it's rare. I don't know one other person.
No, people are like, oh, I do Skittles with M&Ms. I'm like, I mean, not Skittles, not Skittles with M&Ms. Popcorn with M&Ms,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, that is not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah.
There's no like we don't even know where it came from.
No,
like
I have
our
no idea.
mom, I literally think this decision was made for me before I was born.
Yeah.
That I was gonna eat Skittles with popcorn.
I don't even know if like our kids know how to eat popcorn without Skittles.
No, I hardly know how to eat popcorn without Skittles. Like,
It's so
actually,
true.
I think Anna Marie doesn't like love it. It's not her favorite
Yeah.
thing, but like, it is so good and so addictive.
Yeah.
Actually,
So good.
and I would go as far as to say that if I ever go to the movies, I sneak a bag of Skittles in. Of course, I'm not buying them in the movie theater. Buy the popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not the Skittles.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
way too expensive.
I mean, our family will have a group text where we're like, what's the ratio of Skittles per popcorn pieces?
per kernel.
Yeah.
How many
it's
Skittles per kernel?
Yeah, it's like the
Popcorn kernel?
perfect combination.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the things we get excited about.
Yeah,
So-
and have on our giant family text.
Yes, and everyone's chiming in. You can't get anybody to text on
Yeah.
anything, but then all of a sudden you're talking about popcorn and Skittles, and everybody wants to know.
I know. We need to ask, like, I don't know if Dad even knows, like, I'm sure it's Mom.
I have no idea.
I'm
either.
sure it's Mom who came up with
Lindsay's
that.
boys were over here like earlier, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think separately? What do you think an unpopular opinion is for our families?" And they both said the sleepover thing, and they both said popcorn and Skittles separately. They were not
in the
together.
same room. No.
So I just think that's really, really funny. But okay, so the next one, and this is probably because Lindsay and I have like middle school girls that we hear this a lot. But how do we feel about girls getting their nails done on the regular in middle school?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Ashley and I have talked about this, and it's not like we've talked to moms
Yeah.
of these middle
So maybe
school
it
girls.
isn't as normal as our girls think that it is.
I know, it's real hard. So just like a little secret, if you don't have middle school kids, it's really hard to really gauge.
Yeah.
Like how accurate
Yes.
what your kids tell you when they're in middle school.
Right.
Because it feels like it's not always like extremely accurate. Not lying, but like their perception
Their
of it.
perception is like this is the truth.
That's right.
Right.
And it might be more extreme than it really is. So
Exactly.
okay, however, my girls say that their friends get their nails done about as regular as I get mine done, which is every 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And their moms hate them, and they always have tips, and they always have designs. And I am like, heck no.
No way.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it turns into this whole thing when you take your girls to get their nails done. It's like, I want tips. They don't want just gel nails anymore.
No.
want,
They're not like me. They just want, I'll have like short,
Yeah.
square. I'm like, I want them short, square, and dip. Thank you. I'm good. I
as
don't get-
typical and basic
Yes,
as you
as
can
basic
be.
as you
They
can
are
be.
like, we want tips. They have designs that they look up on their
Yeah.
phones. that always flusters me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's putting too much work on the people who are doing their nails.
Yeah, me too. And then I'm like, how much is this going to cost?
That's exactly. I'm like, how much does it cost? They're like, we want this nail to be this and this nail to do this. And I'm like, oh my God,
and
no,
then
I'm not doing that.
Can I get an eyebrow wax?
Yes. Can I get eyebrow
wax? First of all, I was a senior in high school. My mom should have been taking me to get my eyebrows waxed. And
we all know because we saw your graduation picture.
I'm like, thanks a lot, Mom. Okay, but our girls are in middle school.
Yes.
I didn't start getting my nails done regularly till I was 35.
Yeah,
I did them at home. I did them at home because I loved having my nails done. But I did them at home. I was 35. I tell Ella that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was 35 years old before I started getting my nails done regularly. Also, it should be for me, I want it to be special. So when Ella has a birthday or we're going to the beach or something like that, like, hey, we go get your nails done. And we've talked about this before in other episodes. But like, if everything's special, nothing's special.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's true. What do they have to look forward to?
Yeah.
Also, let's just talk about the fact that can they afford getting their nails done every 2 to 3 weeks when they're paying their own bills?
Right. When they start working, are they going to get their nails done?
Or when they're newly married and they're young, like that's not a priority.
Yeah, that's right.
Or shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a priority.
Right.
And so I'm
like the pressure of their husband, I'm to be like, okay.
Yes. Like, so for me, it's like, well, first of all, it's a no-brainer on like multiple levels that we are just not doing that. And you know what? That might not be an unpopular opinion, but it might be. Out here where we live, because we do live in a more affluent area, I feel like more girls get their nails done earlier and earlier in age, and we're just not doing it.
Yeah.
We're
So maybe unpopular opinion, we don't really know.
If someone wants to start a GoFundMe for my girls getting their nails
done. Yes. Okay, so I love this question too. Maybe unpopular opinion. I didn't know actually this was an unpopular opinion until my kids told me this. And what about kids' rooms? What do you allow in your kids' bedrooms?
So I think my boys even mentioned this to us earlier. Supposedly, not in our world, or not even in the world we grew up in. Like meaning, when I say our world, in our family. These kids' rooms are places that they are made for kids to hang out in. So they have TVs, they have gaming stations in their room, whatever they might keep their phones in their room all the time. They have probably sitting areas. Like it's a place where like all the teenagers want to go hang out, and we are very opposite of that. So we mom was like this, and we're the same way. Where mom and dad were like this, where it wasn't encouraged to want to hang out in your room. Like we want our kids around us for the family unit. We want them around us because it's relational. And we also want them around us because there's times in their lives where we need to monitor some things. Just to make sure, like, hey, like, what are you watching? What are you doing? You know, and so
it's just to me, it is not like, it's that whole thing. It's not right or wrong. It's like, it's not the right or wrong thing to do. What is the wise thing? And I feel like for our kids to have a place like a living area or kitchen where everyone's hanging out, just overall, that's kind of some wisdom in that. And we kind of talked about how like you have a big family of 7 in each of our families, and you might want some time like to yourself. We get that.
And we want to be sensitive to that.
Yes. And, but for the most part, you're going to sleep in your room.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. We're not going to create it to be a place where, you're lit like it's your house.
Right.
That's essentially what we're doing. We're saying, hey, and I know that parents aren't thinking, I don't believe that parents are thinking this way at all. I think they're just excited and they want their kids to enjoy things, and I get that. But in some ways, when you're doing that, you're almost saying, hey, I don't really want you down here around us. Even that might be unintentionally an unintentional message, but it's like, so why don't you go upstairs? You have your own space. Hey, and I get it. There are times where I'm like, girls, you got to go to, we have what we call the TV room, which is right off our living room, and they got to watch TV. I'm like, y'all are somewhere else because you're driving me nuts. But
I think it's just intentionally creating an environment for family to have really strong relationships. And you cannot have strong relationships if you're not together, if everybody's in their rooms.
And I'm not saying you have to sit around the TV every night and watch a show together. Or, be also extreme to the other end of that. But I think it's just like you said, it's just creating a home where you're like, hey, so what I've said before too is like, if I notice that any of my kids are spending some extra amount of time more than normal upstairs or secluded from the family, Derek and I talk to them about it. And it's, again, these aren't these like deep conversations.
Right.
It's like, hey, so, I've just been noticing you've been up in your room a lot, or you get home straight from school and go straight up to your room, which is fine for a little bit, but we really want you around the family.
Yeah.
And our kids have honestly had a very great response to that. None of them have been negative about it, and they don't even realize it normally.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Your kids don't realize how much they start secluding themselves.
Yeah.
And seclusion's not good. Being by yourself isn't good. And, our boys share a room. Well, I'm a huge fan of boys sharing room, especially boys. I would like for all my kids to share, but especially boys.
Yeah.
And so it's just good for them to be around the family.
My boys didn't spend a lot of time in the rooms at all, and we kind of like struggle with this a little bit more with Ella. So the boys always shared rooms, always. But Ella is the only girl, and she has her own room, and she's the youngest. And so we noticed that she was spending more time in her room.
Yeah.
And it's kind of right off of our living area, so we can even hear, like the door's open or whatever. And she loves to talk on the phone with her friends, which is great. But we kind of had to say, because we felt like she was in her room more than we wanted, hey, if you're talking to your friends on the phone, that is fine. You can be in your room. Everything else, you have to come out in the living room with us. Mm-hmm. And that's even if she's actually on her phone in the living room doing something on her phone, she's still in the living room with us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's something that we've had to navigate a little bit differently with her, that we didn't necessarily have to with the boys, because they couldn't get away from people no matter where they went.
That's true. And that's the thing, I think that like you have to do things according to your family, according to the dynamic of your family, also personalities.
Right.
Some personalities fall more into introverted personalities. They want to be by themselves. That's okay to a point.
Yeah.
And then we have to say, hey, realistically, I know you want time alone and you can get a little bit, but you got to come back out. And you got to like be around us and be around our family because we love you and want to spend time with you. And so, I just think I think it's really important, and it's definitely an unpopular opinion, but it's just something that we've kind of always done and we grew up with, and we've that's what we want.
Yeah. Speaking of families doing things a little bit different and unpopular opinions, so for my family, because we had 4 boys, Jeremy and I, my husband, we decided a long time ago that we were not going to do video games. So our boys did not grow up with video games, which is craziness. And you know what? Now they might be like, Mom, I can't believe you didn't let us do video games. Still, they might not be the same as when they were saying, I'm glad you didn't,
let us do a sleepover. Yeah.
But because one, I remember being in college and going to dorm rooms where the boys were there and they were playing video games and girls were just sitting around watching them play video games. And I was like, no, this is so boring. I'm not doing this. And I just had this feeling, having 4 boys, it could overtake our life. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want to have to monitor the video game thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them obsessed with video games. And having 4 boys, I could see how that could easily happen. Jeremy was not a big video game guy. And I don't know. We just both were like, you know what? We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so COVID comes when everybody's home and all their friends start playing video games. And now you're at a point where they can talk on the
on the microphone, headsets.
Headsets.
Yeah.
And my boys were like, we don't know what to do. They would just like go out in the front yard and play football. Because by that point, they didn't even know how to play video games. Yeah. They're like, we're behind.
Yes, it's so true.
So that was something that was a super unpopular opinion that now they could go to their friend's house and play video games, by the way. That was something that if they wanted to do, they could. But my goodness, they didn't know how. They didn't spend hours on it. And so it was like they kind of were disinterested. But that was not norm.
Yeah, I think that video games is also, it can be a slippery slope, and the same thing of like seclusion, like doing these on your own, by yourself. Also, like sitting in a dark room. I don't know why that bothers me. Yeah. But sitting in a dark room really bothers me. My girls will watch TV in the TV room and it's right here, and I come in and I'm like, turn the lights on. Yeah. Or at least turn a lamp on, or turn something on where you're not sitting in a dark room. Because that's what I remember of boys in college, is playing video games in a dark room.
Oh, yeah, until like 2 a.m.
Yes, and it just feels so lazy. And like, okay, but does it not?
So lazy.
Does it not feel like lazy?
I don't know.
It just feels lazy. Guys, and I know that this is going to blow your minds, because literally, probably if some of you are married, your husbands play video games. Yeah. I'm always so shocked when I found out right now, people's husbands who play video games. It is way more people than it is not.
It is. Yeah.
I get so tickled when my boys are like, I play with Pastor so-and-so. I'm like, oh. Because Derek is not a video gamer either.
Yeah.
So because we are not in that world,
Yeah.
We don't see that. That's why I'm shocked. It's not because I'm saying it's bad. It's because I'm not in that world.
Yeah,
like my husband's not a big gamer.
Yeah, but my brother, like he did great with it. Like he played video games with his boys and he plays with them, and that's like a bonding experience.
Yes.
And I thought he always handled that really, really well.
He did. And I know a lot of adult men love that. I think you just think, like, is it going to be extreme? Are you going to be the story where where your kid is living in your basement at 35 playing video games all day? Yes, 100%.
Right?
And it's like also the whole thing with adult men playing video games. Like I just always think, like, do you have a job? And I know that is not the way. I'm not judging. Like that's not what it is. I'm just like. Surprised.
Yeah,
like I'm just surprised. Okay, but I know because I can name several people that I know their husbands play video games. Like that's not abnormal. Okay, we are the abnormal ones actually.
Yeah, for sure.
But so we did change our minds on video games. We are the people that we did not grow up. I didn't grow up playing video games. Oh my Lord! You remember when Mom and Dad got us the Nintendo?
They took it away.
They took it away. She got mad
because we were fighting.
We were fighting over it.
I'm sure that had to do with my decision too.
It never left me.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, remember that time Mom just took that sucker back?
Yeah, she did.
She put it back in the box.
We're going back to Walmart.
She was like, I'm returning this to Walmart.
Yeah.
Anyway, so okay, but I will say that we always kind of were like, no, I don't. Did we have a hard stance against video games? Do you remember?
You mean like Mom and Dad?
No, me and Darren.
Oh no, I don't think so.
I
think y'all were just like...
Because I think that we're all very guilty of forgetting things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like how we were at some point, especially if you change your mind.
Yeah.
So like honestly, I don't remember, but I do think I always kind of lean towards my kids not playing video games. And then I think at some point, because our boys will tell a whole story about how we always said we weren't going to go to video games. And then we got them for Christmas. And they were like
so surprised.
They were like, you said we would never get one. And I was like, I know, like we changed our minds. Anyways, you know, the bottom line is we did change our minds and we got our boys video games, but it goes back to the video game stuff goes back to the same thing across the board with every device. Phone, iPad, iPod, whatever. Do people even do iPods anymore? Whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I don't think so. We did for our girls.
For sure.
That was like our stepping stone.
Yeah, it was.
It was like you get an iPod, but you don't get access to Wi-Fi.
And they could do everything on iPod except it was only on Wi-Fi.
Only on Wi-Fi. Sometimes I want to go back to the iPod days. But anyway, so it's the same thing. It's just don't get your kids any device unless you're ready to monitor it. And that's really what it boils down to.
And like we could talk about cell phones and social media, and we'll probably have a separate episode for that.
Yeah.
But it's like all kids are different. Some kids are ready for things, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
So the way that you know, when they get certain things, just because one kid gets it in 7th grade doesn't mean they all need it in 7th grade. Someone might not be ready for that.
Yeah.
Social media, same way. And
for sure.
apps are different. Like you just can't have a blanket view, I don't think, on that. And this is really hard. Cell phones and social media is hard because our parents didn't have to deal with it. And we do.
And so we're kind of learning and navigating like a little like...
We've changed how ages that we thought they should have them, that they shouldn't.
And everybody swings the pendulum on that. Like I feel like some people are like, honestly, on Facebook, I see people post about it who really aren't there yet, and they're like hardcore.
Yeah,
I'm never getting my kid, and I'm like, listen, I get it. Like I was very much so against getting my kids. I will be the person to say I changed my mind on cell phones, and I've learned a lot since then. But I was hardcore, like not getting my kids a cell phone until they were in high school.
Yeah.
And jokes on me because I did not wait that long.
Yeah. Just be ready to be an intentional parent with monitoring it.
Yes.
So
don't ever...
You have to monitor the devices. And it's a full-time job.
It is. Don't get it and think that you can just like let go of the reins. That's just not how it's going to work.
Right. Like your plan is to just give it to them and have no plan.
Yeah.
That's not
But then I also don't think it's fair, honestly. And the video game thing for sure, like you can go without ever getting them video games. That doesn't matter to me.
Right. We're talking about
something like phones that you're going to cross that bridge at some point. So I don't think it's fair also because I have had some people say to me that they don't want nor are they ready to be intentional and monitor. But like their kids are getting older, like quite a bit older than I'm like, that's not fair to them because
also there's some things we want to teach our kids while they're under our roof.
True.
We are there with them, navigating this with them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just like wait till they go to college and all of a sudden they get to have social media and they don't know how to navigate it.
No, they don't know how to navigate it at all.
Like,
and so there's a lot of people who I've heard say that and their kids are younger and I just am like, okay, let's just live it out. Let's just see how it goes. And you learn a lot. Things that when your kids are little, you're not having that conversation with people. Like, how do you monitor a cell phone? When they get older and you start talking to other people who have already been down that road and you find out what you can actually do, you're like, oh, because I'm going to be honest, a phone is very nice for your kid to have.
It's convenient.
It is super convenient. Yeah. And I know what everybody said is, well, we didn't have one growing up, and I get it. But dadgummit, it is so much better for my life, for my kids to have a phone. It just is. I don't know how else to explain it.
And again, we'll talk about this different episode, but we have made mistakes in that journey of cell phones and social media with our kids, and there's some things we've just learned. Yeah. And so
you live and you learn. Yeah. Just like we said in our another episode that we had, which is like, hey, you can take things back.
Right.
You do not have to say, because I said this, I can't go back on it. Yeah, yes, you
because you're the parent.
You're the parent. Yeah. And don't forget that.
Yeah. So anyway, we can talk about that forever, but we'll wait.
We really could.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing is, this is also another thing that our family did growing up. Plus we do as families. I think every one of us. How do we feel about make-believe characters? Like Santa, like the Easter Bunny, like the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. So, how do we feel about those, Ashley?
So, my parents, we didn't believe in Santa or the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. Yeah. We never did any make-believe characters. Nope. My parents had fun with it, but we always knew they weren't real. Yeah. We knew that the gifts that were under the tree, that what went in the Easter basket came from my mom and dad. My mom would even write from Santa, and it was almost like a joke.
No, she would write from Santa, and then she'd be like, in our home videos, Wayne, I got that from Walmart. Yes. Clearance.
Yes.
And
so she wasn't hiding it. Yeah. And so we kind of all took that into our families, my brother and sister-in-law too, where our kids know those things are not real from an early age. Now, do I take my kids to see Santa? Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Do we do Easter baskets? Yes, we do. Do we give them money for their teeth? Sometimes. If you remember. I told Lindsey by the time she gets to her youngest, she's just going to be Venmoing her for hers.
We're beyond that, but yes, for sure.
But why, what do you think the reason is for that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that,
and by the way, 90% of our friends
all do that.
All believe
all their kids did that. Yeah, they've all done that.
And that's fine. We don't care.
Well, to be honest, I think it's because of how we grew up, and it was never that my mom was like, we do not believe in Santa. I don't even think she conversation.
No, I never remember a conversation. And I actually don't even really remember a conversation with my kids being this is, I think it was later maybe when they would ask.
Yeah, but it just was never really a conversation. It was something we did. But honestly, I think there's a couple of ways you can look at it. I think one, if you really want to dive into it, it's lying to your kids. And I'm sorry to the people who don't want to hear that, but it is. And I think that there's easy ways for us to kind of make up excuses for that and be like, yeah, but it makes Christmas more magical. I am here to tell you that my kids love Christmas. Even my 17-year-old cannot wait for Christmas time. It does not actually make it more magical or less magical. Yeah. It really does not. It is still so much fun for them. So I think me as a child, and I do not think this happens with a lot of people, I think I would have had a really hard time.
Yeah. If I have talked to some friends that they were devastated
to find out
that Santa wasn't real.
Yeah. And I think me, because I was a pretty deep child, I felt deeply and I was very really young, very spiritually mature, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but I would have had a hard time with that. I would have really had some things playing in my head well, if my parents don't tell me the truth about that, what else did they lie to me about, right? Start questioning some things.
And I think it was more of it's not what we're against, it's what we're for. And so those holidays like Easter and Christmas were more focused on Jesus' birth, the cross, the resurrection. It was more these are the things that we're for, not we're against. Yeah. Not, because we're not going to believe in Santa and the Easter Bunny and all that kind of stuff. Exactly. And so it was always, to me, felt like it was a life-giving thing. I never really thought much about
For sure. I didn't either. And honestly, guys, moms are so stressed out right now in life in general because
you have a lot on your plate.
The culture is getting worse about being creative and doing these cool parties.
She's talking about Elf on the Shelf.
Yes, Elf on the Shelf. Like all these things that make our life so much more stressful. Hey, some of you are going to say, no, it doesn't make my life more stressful. It gives me life. Okay, cool. You do you if it gives you life. But if it stresses you out, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Be done with it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
It
is not going to have, I don't think, any impact.
So to me, like my personality, like that's just not something that I really, well, first of all, I would have failed tremendously.
Yeah.
And I would have had to lie to my kids multiple times because I would have forgotten about Elf on the Shelf and I would have forgotten about all the things. I would have been the worst. And so for me, it's like life is so much more easier for me not to have to have gone there with all the things. But there's one thing we do for Easter that is hilarious. We have no idea where it came from.
I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody else doing
it.
Again, not sure where the origin story came from.
No, there's no origin story. Mom created it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to ask Dad.
Yeah.
But my mom, and it's been passed on. Do you think Wade and Kimberly do that?
I don't know. I need to ask them. I was thinking.
I feel like they do for some reason.
But all growing up, for Easter, my mom would hide our Easter baskets, like our entire basket, and we would have to find it. It was part of Easter morning.
Yeah.
And we do that with our kids. And literally last year, I mean, my oldest was 23 years old, and I hid all of the Easter baskets. I think they would be like shocked if I didn't.
That is so funny. I could just picture Tyler walking.
They do. And actually, some of the older ones are worse at finding it. Ella finds hers first.
That is hilarious. Y'all, we
don't care.
We do the same thing. And on Easter morning, which for us, we do Easter baskets on Saturday instead of Sunday because we're, Ashley and Jerry ministry forever. We're volunteering at church normally. And literally it goes like this. Wake up, kids wake up. We're like, oh, hang on. Dad's going to go hide your Easter baskets. It's not like it's a surprise.
No.
It's not like they don't know this is what
all
we're
my
doing.
kids are like waiting in one room.
Yes, they are.
Like,
all of them go to my room. All of them go to my bedroom. And then we're like, okay. And Derek has all their Easter baskets.
Jeremy and I both do it.
Okay, Jeremy and you both do it.
Yeah.
And y'all, the amount of times that Easter baskets have been hid in the blanket basket with the blankets on top, the dryer.
Like we're running out of spots.
No, how have we not already?
I don't know.
And, and so they absolutely love it. And I remember we have a home video of me. I look awful. I'm like in middle school, which is the most awkward phase. And I am on a chair reaching up to see if my Easter basket is like up high. Y'all, I had on long johns, just long johns.
A t-shirt.
Oh, a short t-shirt, which is worse. I think that would have been worse.
It's just not super flat.
It is awful. And it wasn't like
Nobody should just
I wasn't like
long
skinny
johns.
mini Lindsey.
Yeah.
I was like middle school awkward Lindsey in just long johns. So it was really bad. But I will remember that moment forever because it was kind of bad in that sense. But we hide Easter baskets, take it or leave it, but it is actually really fun for your kids. So maybe mom did it to make up for not
telling us,
not believing in Easter and the Easter bunny,
Okay.
And,
were you gonna say something?
No, it's just like about another holiday that we also kind of some of us don't celebrate, some of us do.
Yeah.
So we grew up not celebrating Halloween.
Yeah.
Which that is. It is an unpopular opinion for sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
We didn't do Halloween,
but there are like other people that I've talked to, but very, very few people.
Yeah. We didn't do Halloween. We got to go to Hallelujah night.
We did. We did Hallelujah night
at church.
Yes, and one year I was a hippie for Jesus.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I was a punk rocker with like fishnet hose, which does not quite be the best idea for a church event.
What?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I remember it very clearly. I was so excited.
I loved Hallelujah night.
Yeah.
Okay. But we need to bring back Hallelujah night.
Yeah, bring it back. So we did Hallelujah night, so we were not allowed to do Halloween, and we kind of knew that. I mean, I don't think we ever did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
And you know what my mom was always good about, and this is one thing that I remind myself a lot of, is, I taught her about it, is if you're going to not do some of these things that are an unpopular opinion, my mom says she would replace them with other things that were fun.
Yes.
And so
you didn't feel like you were like missing out.
So she always had us candy.
Always.
Now, it was not Halloween themed candy at all.
It's like our favorites though.
But it was all of our favorites, so we never missed out on the candy factor.
Yeah.
And then she would, if they didn't have Halloween night, because they didn't usually have that on.
Remember playing games down in the basement that
with
time?
the wings?
Yes.
Yes.
She like created all these games.
All
for us
these
to play.
games. My mom was always good about creating games. And then also, if it was like, we would go to the movies.
Yeah.
Or we would go out to dinner.
Yeah, we weren't just like sitting at home.
With the lights off. Yeah.
Like, not doing anything.
And I do remember, I would say out of all my mom and dad's like unpopular opinions that they did for us, I would say that is probably one that I struggled with. Not that I struggled with the, spiritual side behind it, which I know everybody has different opinions on. Yeah. But I struggled with the fact that I felt like I was missing out.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
But yet here I am, and we have adopted that. Mom gave us all like packets of like explaining the origin of Halloween and all the things, and everybody again has different opinions. But for me and Derek, our kids have never gone trick-or-treating. Yeah. And that is not something, that is something we feel very convicted in the sense for our own family to keep. And that's okay. And they're okay. And they have been happy with that. No, they don't always love it. But pretty much what we say is, hey, God has entrusted you to us. We're going to do what we feel like as parents. When you have children, you do what you feel like as parents, right? Yeah. And then you guys have kind of gone back and forth on it.
We go back and forth. I think one thing is that, like, it's for Halloween, it's just that it can be so missional, and when I say that, that means like everyone's out.
Yeah.
Their house, like we feel like in a ministry way, like it's a great way to like meet your neighbors and hang out and stuff. So we've done different things. We kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Halloween person.
Yeah.
I don't love scary. I don't like anything evil.
Yeah.
I do not like that. So we have done parties before, and Lindsey, we've done them together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll do that.
It's just like our kids weren't dressing up going trick-or-treating.
That's right. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do neighborhood parties. That is something that we've loved.
That's my favorite.
It is. It's probably our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
We have taken our kids when they were really little to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
And because no one's there.
Yeah.
And they do something fun. We've gone bowling because no one's ever there.
Yeah. Just different stuff.
But my favorite thing is to be missional about it.
Yeah.
So you can still be missional and not have to partake.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing. Like, if you feel that conviction for your family, you can be missional and not partake, which is like, hey, sit in your front yard and have like, music playing and like a fire pit or whatever. Bounce house is what we did this last year. And just talk to people and get to know your neighbors. But you don't have to be participating in all the other things. Or you can, right? Like our brother and their kids celebrate Halloween, and that's fine. Yeah. Everything is different for everybody. But anyways,
I think that's a hard one because it's an unpopular opinion, but then it leads to just a way deeper conversation.
It does.
That not everyone understands. So that's kind of a hard one.
It is a hard one. But it is very much so an unpopular opinion that I think that we kind of have
stuck to.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay, I think we have time for one more. Okay. So we, as a whole, like I love talking about the ones that we decide as a whole family, and all the adults decided this ahead of time. This happens sometimes where we have these conversations before our kids enter into a season or whatever, and one of our main things that we kind of set a long time ago. When we go on our family beach vacation,
everyone goes, there's like 22, 23 of us, is we decided, the adults came together a long time, like a few years ago. Maybe like 7 years ago. And we decided that no one could bring a girlfriend or boyfriend. You have to bring you have to be engaged before you can bring someone to the beach. So that has created this like awesome trip for us. And the reasons behind that, it's multiple reasons.
Oh, multiple. Yeah. It's okay. So it's like, one, we want, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend there, then that person is distracted by the boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're not hanging out with all the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents. So we wanted to create this like family bonding time during this beach trip. One, practically, there's not enough room. We have 8 boys that all could have girlfriends right now.
Yeah.
They might all have girlfriends right now. I don't know. Well, no, that's not true at this moment. But they could. And they could all bring them. Like, there's no room.
No room. Practically would probably be our number one reason why we decided on this.
Right. And then, like, also, you have these rando pictures.
Yeah.
Where you have, like, girlfriend and boyfriend in the pictures, the family pictures, and then they break up and that person is never in your life again.
And it's so awkward.
Or you're like, can you just take this picture of our family, but you can't be in it, and then families get hurt. We just wanted to avoid all that.
Yeah, for sure. And it has honestly been probably the best decision. I think it's actually had more positive like effects than we even really imagined
Yeah.
when we made the decision.
I agree.
I don't think we even knew like the
Yeah.
positive things that would come out of that.
Yeah.
And I think it has, because we have seen quite a few boyfriends and girlfriends go.
Oh my gosh.
Come and go.
Yes.
And so it's like,
which is normal.
totally normal,
Yeah.
but I don't need you on my vacation if if you're not gonna last in the family.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I just don't. So
Yeah.
I have loved this decision.
Yeah.
I think it was such a honestly, a
Yeah.
God decision that we made.
Yeah.
And it has been great. And this year is Sam's wife's first vacation with
Yeah.
us, because they actually got engaged
After
the beach this
Yeah.
last year. And so this will be her first beach vacation, and she's like so excited. And
I think she feels like it's like you're a member of a club.
Yeah.
That you like can't be a member of until a
you
certain
get to
time.
be in there, you
Yeah.
get to be on the vacation. So we're super excited, but I do love that decision.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so that's some of our unpopular opinions today
Yeah.
that we shared. Let's finish with the question of the week.
yeah,
Okay, you ready?
you're
It's
doing the
my
question
turn.
of the week. It's Ashley's
Okay.
turn. What is it?
So my question of the week is, I've just been, pondering this for a few years now.
Few years.
What do you wear for pajamas?
Oh my gosh.
Or what do you love to wear for pajamas?
Yeah, I don't wear anything other than what I love to wear.
Yeah, okay, well that is part of answering your question. The question.
Okay. So I wear, poor Derek, but I wear extremely oversized shirt. That is like, it actually was Derek's shirt, and it is huge. It has to be huge on Derek. Huge. It's so long. I try to tuck it in my pajama pants. So I wear that and like really big pajama pants. That
So
are
so it's not very far from your long johns that you wore.
no,
In that
listen. It's oh Lord, I would look terrible in long johns now.
Okay, so that's my question.
And a
right?
sweatshirt. Yeah.
Like you're comfortable.
Oh,
And
so comfortable.
so I feel like I'm at the age, we're in our 40s, like we should probably have proper pajamas.
What do you mean
Right.
by proper pajama sets?
Yes, a set with buttons.
No. And a matching bra.
Yes, and I just can't bring myself to do it, because I think my desire to be comfortable and relaxed, it's like I feel like I'm wearing another night outfit. Like I just change out of my
100%.
day outfit into a night outfit, and then I have to change again into my comfortable pajamas to go to bed, and it just seems like too much work.
I agree. That's
You know?
hilarious. No, it is. It is, but I do feel like
And our friends wear them, the cute ones and the proper ones is what I say, and they're so cute, and I'm like, I need to be that person, but I'm just not.
I'm not that.
I'm wearing the
person.
same, I literally look like it's the pajamas I would wear to class in college. I still wear those now.
Mine are not. Mine
might be
are
worse.
Mine are way worse. And honestly, we have a lot of teenagers at our house a lot. And you would think that I would be too embarrassed to come out in those pajamas, but don't worry, I do. I'm which is even worse.
I know, I'm the same
Is
way.
I'm listen, I bought a set.
Yeah.
I only wear the pants. I don't wear the shirt.
Exactly. So I wear pajama pants too. I cannot wear shorts. Heck no.
No,
and
I cannot wear
wear
shorts.
a tank top or a big, huge
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Not cute
No.
at all.
Yeah.
But it is the most comfortable thing ever. And I'm my kids are getting married now and have girlfriends they've had for a long time, and I feel like I need to have proper pajamas.
That means you're gonna have a night outfit.
You
need to have a night
outfit. But
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
I know. It's
Well-
just the things that I think about,
Well, the listeners can let us know what they wear for pajamas. Do you guys
Yeah.
wear sets? Do you wear a night outfit? And definitely don't answer if you wear anything risque.
Oh my Lord, no. We don't need to hear about
We
that.
don't need to
we
hear
don't need
about
to have that
that.
picture in our head.
I don't even think it's true either. Sorry. I'm serious. I mean, come on. You want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
What? I
know.
don't. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
But our dad's wife wears the cutest little
So
sets,
cute.
and I haven't gone down that route
I
yet.
know.
I
And I
wonder
like
when
same
she
thing
started
with,
wearing those.
Same thing with makeup. I just want it off.
Oh, for sure.
Guess what? I need to be wearing a little bit of mascara. If people are around.
I did this last night. Parker, Micah, and some of their friends were here, and I went to my room, and I thought about it for a second. And I thought, took my makeup off, I got in my pajamas, and I thought, I probably shouldn't go back out there. Do you think that stopped me? I absolutely came back out here.
Yeah, it's your
And
house.
they're like, hi, Miss Mills. Hey, Aunt Lindsay, because it was Grayson and their friend. And I was like, yep, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I don't know. Maybe when we're older, we'll reach our proper pajama age.
At what age do you get proper pajamas?
I
I don't know either.
All right. Well,
This
we
is
gotta
fun.
go.
Yes, we
Another
hope
week.
you enjoyed our unpopular opinions. We hope that it helps you want to have some unpopular opinions, or if you already do, that you just like can like be secure in those,
Embrace them.
So have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.